Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be showing you how to build this virtual iPhone just using JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And obviously this phone doesn't work like an ordinary phone that you have, but I did add some cool features to it, like the time. It's actually the current time that I'm recording this video. And also I made it to where every 3 or 4 seconds the battery goes down by 1%. And the internet, I just put AT&T. You can put whatever you want, it doesn't really matter. But that's pretty much all there is to the phone. And I also gave it a little wallpaper, but I didn't know how to put in the apps because it was just too confusing for me, so I just left it out. Anyways, now let's get started. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just get rid of all this code and start from scratch like always. And as you notice, you saw this super long link. That's going to be our cracked screen effect. So when we hover over it, this is what it's going to look like. For some reason it's a really long link. Actually, we could just keep it. Let's just go onto this new file, and I already have my boilerplate generated for me, and I also linked this wallpaper source link right here as well in case I'll need it, which I will. So first thing I'll do is I'll create a div and give an ID of phone. ID equals phone, and within this div we can do a lot of stuff. We can just create another div and give it an ID of rectangle. That's going to be the wallpaper. And then inside of this div I'll create another div and give this an ID of top bar. Top bar will have our battery, our internet type, and our time, which will be updating every second, so we'll know the current time exactly. And then we'll create a span and give this an ID of internet, and this will be AT&T. And then underneath this span I'm going to create another div and give it an ID of time, and I'll create 3 more divs in here. So this div will be our hours, or just hour, you can put an S if you want to, and then this will be our minute. This span will be our seconds, and I'll just put NA, which stands for nothing. Those are just placeholders because we want to know where our text is located at on our browser. Then after we're done with that, we can create another span and give this an ID of battery bar. So this isn't actually the battery percentage, this is just the battery bar. Well, this is the battery percentage, never mind, my bad. And then I'll create another span, give this an ID of battery rectangle. After that we can create a button and give this an ID of home button. That's the button located at the bottom of the phone. And then after that, that's pretty much all we need for our HTML, so we can get started with the JavaScript now. CSS, my bad, not JavaScript. So I'll just create my 2 style tags, and the first thing I'll style will be my browser, so I'll type body and give it a background color of RGB 179, 185, 179. And you can change this to whatever color you want. I'm just going to pick this. And now I'm going to grab the everything selector, the universal selector, and give everything on my browser a font family of sans serif. Simple. And now if we refresh, okay, I forgot to open a live server. Okay, this is what it actually looks like. And then once we're done with those 2 styles, we can select our phone container and give it a height of 500 pixels, width to 60 pixels, position absolute, so we can position it any way we want it to be positioned. So we'll move it to the top, away from the top 50%, left 50%, which will put it right in the center. And we can also do transform translate -50%, -50%, which does the exact same thing. And then we'll just do border radius 36 pixels, so it rounds the corners off a little bit so it's no longer 90 degrees. Then we can do display flex, and then we're going to justify its content and align it in the center. Then we'll type align items center, background color #000, which is just black, and now we have our phone. Then we can do box shadow 10 pixels, 0, 7 pixels, black. And same with this property as well. You can pick your own color, your own values. You don't have to go with mine. And then after that, we can select our rectangle, and when we hover over it, we're going to create a before element, which is a pseudo element, and the content will be set to an empty string. This is a very important line that you must always type for pseudo elements, whether you're using before or after, because if you don't, you'll be wondering why your code isn't working. It's happened to me before, and it took me 10 or 20 minutes to realize it. So I hope it doesn't happen to you guys. So that's a helpful advice you should keep in mind. So I'll do height 380 pixels, width 220 pixels, position absolute. Then we'll do top 60 pixels. Then we can do left 20 pixels, background image. Hope you're ready for this because this is going to be an extremely long link. See, you can't even see the end of it. It just shows you these 3 dots like the rest operator, which I'll teach you in the future. And now when we hover over it, it actually appears. But now we have to create our rectangle, so we can select our rectangle without the hover property or the pseudo elements, and just give it a height of 380 pixels as well, width of 220 pixels, border 2 pixels, 2 pixels solid black, background URL. Whoops, it's actually background and then URL, a set of parentheses, some quotes, and then we'll just go grab our URL, which is right here. Okay, now we'll just paste it in here like that, end it off with a semicolon, and now we have our wallpaper. And obviously the time doesn't work yet because we haven't added in any JavaScript, so we'll do that in a minute. For now, we'll just keep working with the CSS since we still have a lot more styles to go. And also, we're going to give this a z index of 1000 or something like that, so we'll always know that it's on top of everything else. Okay, I know why it's not working. It's because of this right here. I forgot to give it a semicolon, so I'll just type that right there, paste that right in front of it, and it works just fine. Then we'll just give it a z index of 1000 or 1,000,000, whatever you want to give it. Now it's always going to cover everything else behind it, because the bigger the z index, the more on top it will be. And if it has the largest z index value, then it will be on top of everything else. It will be covering everything else, blocking out everything else. Then for our time, we can just do display flex, justify content, center, font size 1.2 rem. Then we can make the color of it white so it shows up much better. And then we can do position relative, bottom 20 pixels, and now that just moves it to the top. It's as if it doesn't even have any margin at all, which is why it's sort of sticking to the border of the rectangle. And then after that, we can style our home button and give this a position absolute, width 47 pixels, height 47 pixels, so it will be a circle. Well, it's actually going to be a square, but to turn it into a circle, we have to type border radius 50%, or anything larger than 50 will turn into a circle. Then we'll just move it away from the top 82%, left 48.2%, and maybe we should move it down maybe another 0.4%, 0.7, and move it away from the left maybe just 48. How about 47? That should be good enough. Yep, that looks centered to me. Well, it's centered when my screen was minimized. Apparently it had the right value in the first place, so I'll just do that. Okay, that looks good enough. It looks like it's in the center. And then we can do border 1 pixel solid black. For our home button, again, when we focus on it, which just means when we click on it, so when we click on it, we'll give it a box shadow of inset 004 pixel blank. Instead of the shadow pouring out of the home button, it's going to inset itself inside of the button. So now you can see a shadow inside the button instead of outside. You can see it's kind of, let me zoom in for you to see. You can see the edge of the button. You can see it's kind of a little darker than the rest. And we can also do outline none, so that when we click on it, the outline goes away. And that's all that does, but it's just a cool effect you could add to it to make it more cooler, I guess. And then for our phone and battery bar, I'm gonna give my battery bar a text color of white, display flex, justify content, flex end, so it's going to go to the end, which is right here. So this is flex end, this is flex start, this side right here is flex start, this is flex end, and the center is just center. Those are the values, and there's more, but those are the three major ones. Then we can do position relative, then bottom 39 pixels, right 25 pixels, and then after that we can style our battery rectangle, give it a background color of white, width 20 pixels, height 14 pixels, position absolute, top 12.8%, left 84%, and then we'll give our battery rectangle a pseudo element of after, so it's going to go after it. And the content, like always, will be set to an empty string because we don't want any text. And then we'll just give it a height of 100%. Width, I don't know why I typed height twice. My bad. And width will be 100% as well. Then we'll do position absolute, left 0, top 0, background color green. And now our battery has this green rectangle right on top of it, so it's no longer white. And then for our last style, we just have to style our internet type. So we'll just make it white. And we are finished with our CSS. Woohoo! Now we can get started with some JavaScript, which is the most exciting process in my opinion, because you can actually start making it work, while CSS and HTML just does the decoration and styling and positioning and things like that. But JavaScript, it actually allows you to bring your code to life, I guess. So first I'll create a function called startTime, and in here I'll just do var h equals new date, and make sure you don't forget these set of parentheses or else it won't work. That's happened to me the other day as well. I was so aggravated by that. And then we can do var m equals new date dot get minutes, then var s equals, you guessed it, new date parentheses dot get seconds, and some if statements. Now we'll do if m is less than 10, then we can do m equals 0 plus n. So this is going to create that leading 0 if the number is a 1-digit number, but if it's a 2-digit number, then the 0 will go away since there's already a number in front of it. Then we can do while if s is less than 10. I don't know why I said while. We're not talking about while loops, my bad. So s equals 0 plus s. Once again, that's just a leading 0, and we'll do the same for hours. Else if hours is less than 10, then we'll do h equals 0 plus h. And we also have to create 3 more variables, which is var hour equals document dot get element by id hour. Those are the spans that were in our time div, so we'll select our minute as well. And var second equals document dot get element by id second, just like that. And now we can do hour dot inner text equals h plus a colon, and then minute dot inner text equals m plus a colon in quotes, just like the first one, and the second dot inner text equals s, because we don't need the colon. There's nothing separating it from something else. And now to make it actually work, we can do set interval, and we'll just put in the name of our function, which is start time. And how often do we want this to run? So we want it to run every second, so we can just do 1000, which is 1000 milliseconds. But if we did like 500 milliseconds, that's half a second, which still does the same thing since time just moves at 1 second. It just increments by 1 second per second. So it doesn't really matter what you put, it's still going to be the same thing. And then we can create var battery, another variable called battery, and give it the HTML battery element. And then we can do function battery with a capital B, so we can distinguish between the variable name and the function name. So what we're going to do in this function is we'll be creating another variable called var battery bar equals parse float battery dot text content. So what this is doing, it's going to convert the battery's text content, which is 100%, but our browser interprets this 100% as 100% wrapped in quotes, so it's technically a string, since the definition of a string is any collection of characters that is wrapped within a set of quotes. So that's why we're doing parse float, which will convert it into an actual number. And then we can do, whoa, what did I just do there? Then we can go on to the next line, do battery.text content equals battery bar -1 plus %. Then we can do if battery.text content equals 0 plus %. Then we can do battery.text content equals 100 plus %. So let me explain what this if statement is doing. So once the battery's text content has reached 0%, so once it has gone down to 0%, it will just go back up to 100%. So it's like once your phone dies, it automatically recharges itself back to 100% instantaneously. That would be cool though if someone could do that, but this is just a coding project. But in real life though, they could do that. That would be very convenient. And now we can create an interval called set interval and pass in the name of our function and how often we want it to repeat. And now you'll see every second the battery is going down 1%. And if you want to, I can even make this go even faster, so 100 milliseconds. So in no time it's going to reach 0%, and you'll see what it's going to do. We're almost there. And you see how it just jumped back to 100%. This is why the if statement was there. That's what it controls. And let's just set this back to maybe 3 seconds, so 3000 milliseconds. And that is pretty much all the math that you have to do in this project, which is just converting from milliseconds to seconds, and seconds to milliseconds, and things like that. But this is pretty much it for the project. If you found this project cool and useful, make sure to drop a like and comment down below saying that you subscribed, because I'll be doing a giveaway at 100 subscribers. So make sure you don't forget about that. I might just give away a $10 gift card, but who knows what we'll do. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again in my next video.